Good afternoon. I want you to imagine a man vile, hated, a child killer. A man who set fire to the home where his 3 young children lay sleeping. What would you like to see done to him? Would you like to see him killed in the same manner in which he butchered his children? Or would a simple lethal injection be enough to satisfy you? Our judicial system does not allow for the arbitrary killing of men, regardless of their crimes. So you'd have to be satisfied with lethal injection. Now I want you to picture his attorney, and in his hand he holds a piece of paper, just 1 year after his client was killed. And on that piece of paper it says that his client was innocent of all charges. The evidence that was used to convict him was deemed to be ineffective. You may be wondering what qualifies me to speak on the subject today. I am a young white woman with no criminal history. I recently did a research project on this very subject for another class. And the truth is, we're all qualified to speak about the injustices in our society. If you're looking for specifics, there is plenty of information available, and today I will be citing sources from the Death Penalty Information League, the Justice League, and the Innocence Project. Innocent people are languishing on death row all across our nation as we speak. We don't know how many, it's impossible to know, but what we do know is that we as a people can and should do everything that we can to make sure that not one more innocent is murdered for a crime that isn't his. So what can you and I do? The first thing that we need to do is educate ourselves on the number of previously executed innocents. Even one is too many. The next thing that we need to research is the laws which dictate what crimes are eligible for the death penalty and which ones are not. And thirdly, we must hold accountable the same justice system that tries people of different races and religions for the same crimes and finds one man guilty and is condemned to death, and another man is sentenced simply to life or found innocent. And finally, we must demand that in light of any life-saving evidence that the jury be allowed to hear it. Point 1, we must educate ourselves on the number of previously murdered innocents. Since 1976, there have been more than 10 proven cases of innocent people who have been put to death. And that is from the Death Penalty Information Center. There's not an exact number, as in most cases, once a inmate is actually, the sentence is carried out and they're actually put to death, the resources are then pulled from his case to put onto another case where a life can still potentially be saved. There have been 5 posthumous pardons granted for executions dating back as far as 1913. Point 2, we must know and understand what qualifies as a death penalty case. At the federal level, there are more than 60 crimes that are eligible for the death penalty. Crimes that are enforceable by the death penalty that do not include the taking of another's life are treason, espionage, and drug trafficking in large amounts. Point 3, we must hold accountable the judicial system that does not fairly treat each defendant accused of like crimes. A defendant is more likely to receive the death penalty if the victim is white, regardless of the color of the defendant. When the victim of a death penalty case is a woman, the defendant is 7 times more likely to receive the death penalty. And each judicial district in the state of Connecticut has the right to set each of their own standards as to which crime will carry a death penalty. There needs to be some set standards in every state. Point 4, the jury in a death penalty case must be allowed to have full access to any evidence prior to it being stricken in order to better assess the worthwhileness of this evidence when pertaining to the innocence or perceived innocence of any defendant. Eyewitnesses who recant their testimony based on the fact that police coercion forced them to make the identification should be allowed to be heard. When new evidence is brought to light after a conviction, the jury should be reconvened and be allowed to hear that evidence as a possible solution being to overturn the verdict that they may not have given in the first place. When DNA is proved to be inconclusive or exclusionary, the state should not be able to bury such evidence from being heard on the grounds that two experts can't agree. We need to educate ourselves of the wrongly convicted, sentenced, and killed in this country. This isn't a problem that is going away. It continues to exist today. Excuse me. We must hold our justice system accountable to see that each defendant is treated the same without prejudice of race, creed, color, or religion. And it's our obligation to see that the jury deciding the cases are privy to know all of the evidentiary standards. Innocent people are languishing on death row across America as we speak. How many? We don't know. But what we do know is that as a people we can and should take every measure to ensure that not one more innocent is murdered for a crime that isn't his. In conclusion, I offer this. Go home and do your own research. Punch into the search engine wrongly convicted, wrongly condemned. Pull up the case of the young man that I spoke to you about at the beginning of this speech. His name is Cameron Willingham. He was executed for a crime that has since been deemed not even a crime at all, but an accident, on February 17th of 2004. And then punch in Ernest Willis. He is the man who was released from death row based on the exact same evidence that was used to kill Cameron less than 1 year before. Thank you.